DC68 The Mirrored Wall. Soul-touching and life-enhancing stories. The Mirrored Wall. It all started when I arrived with Ziri, an over-dimensional flying spaceship that looked like an old-fashioned pirate ship in the city of Irtwana, located in the south region of the unknown universe. Irtwana was called the City of Dreams, and visiting this ancient city had been a dream of me. The captain of this enormous ship, with its countless residents and crew members, was Captain Janus. Janus had taken me under his wing and saw me as his son, but I was not an easy person, because I was always up for a fight with any of the other spaceship residents and crew members, and obeying orders was not my strongest side either. When it came from getting away from things I had to do, I was number one in escaping. And when I had no other choice, I did the chores with resistance and complained. I don't know why, but it was as if a wall constantly was standing before me, holding me back from evolving and progressing in my life. Janus loved me very much, and probably for that reason he did put up with my attitude and tried everything possible to help me to possibly discover the other side of myself. I had even nicknames, being called Triple N, meaning no, not never, or the Wall, but my real name was Markobo. Nobody could figure me out, and Janus often said to me, "Markobo, I love you from the bottom of my heart. You are such a sweet person, and everybody thinks this as well. But you don't let anybody come near to you, and you put up such a wall. Nobody can get through this wall, and not around from any side. I'm not upset with you, but your life and the life of all your family members could be much easier when this wall would not be there." May always came up with the same excuse, saying, "Sorry, but this is who I am, and don't worry about me. You accept this or you don't. I cannot help or change for whom and what I am." I saw Janus as a father, but I didn't look at all the others as members of my family. Life on the ship under the command of Captain Janus was great, and nobody was complaining except me. The residents and family members of the crew members took care of the on-ship gardening, the laundry, preparing meals, and of course taking care of the children. I often listened in to their conversations of being grateful to their captain and the great life they had, and that they traveled the entire universe and were able to see so many incredible places and creatures. It made me proud to be like a son to Captain Janus, of which they spoke so highly of. Everything was done out of love for Janus. The strange thing for me, which I didn't accept it and understood, was that nobody would step from the ship wherever they would travel to. Janus would just circle around those incredible places. Many would stand on the railings of the deck and just observe and enjoy the view. For me, life on the ship was boring, and I had been asking Janus over and over again that I wanted to get off the ship and explore, and probably for that reason we ended up on this special planet with the city of Irtwana. Janus docked the ship, and I went ashore to explore. Irtwana was amazing, and I discovered why it was called the City of Dreams, as everything here was to satisfy and fulfill desire. I went wild, exploring endless forms of questionable entertainments. Weeks passed, and I realized that when I wanted to explore more and other entertainments, that I needed more money. Instantly I became upset, and stealing money came up in my mind, but in this city it was almost impossible, as it was protected by an invisible police force, which was keeping the order here. Going back to Janus and asking him for money was out of the question, because he would be telling me to make my own money by working for it. It would take too long as well before I would have enough money in order to do all what I wanted to do. I felt trapped, like having walls all around me and not knowing what to do. So I decided for the moment to stay in the city until a solution would change things around in my favor. One afternoon, I got lost walking through the maze of streets in this big city and ended up all by myself in a dead-end street, facing an enormous liquid mirrored wall. It was a light-moving liquid wall made of endless mirrors, and in them a vague radiant image of someone. Suddenly, images of walls with words written on them appeared in every mirror, and each one at random flashing, "No, not never." Then a voice came from the wall that kept repeating these words, which were not unfamiliar to me, because these were my favorite words. I turned around and took another turn and ended up in another dead-end street with the same liquid mirrored wall. Images of walls and the words, "Leave me alone," appeared on the mirrors of the wall, and again that voice kept on repeating the words. I ran away, but ended up again in another dead-end street, and this time the mirrored wall confronted me with all the people who had a hard time dealing with me. The wall showing the saying of my nicknames they were using, not knowing how to deal with me. Markobo the wall, Markobo triple N. The faces of all those on the ship around me appeared simultaneously, in all the different mirrors, being like an enormous screen with many smaller monitors, one flashing after the other, and all in color, bringing these faces to my attention. Fast I ran away from this confrontation, but ended up at the wall again, this time confronting me running away from learning new skills, and the next mirrored wall was about my ways of escaping and delaying everything I had to do. I kept running and running, but each street ended up at a liquid mirrored wall. I ran as fast as I could, and turning into the next street it seemed to be open, but in an instant the liquid mirrored wall created itself. I was getting very tired, and in the next dead-end street I ended up in front of the wall with a chair standing, facing it. "Please sit down, Markobo," spoke the voice. A vague radiant image appeared on all the mirrors, or better said monitors. My first reaction was to rebel and to continue my running away, but because I didn't know where I was and where I was going anyway, I decided to listen and sat down. Then the voice started speaking. "Markobo, just for you to know, the only one you see in the mirror is you. All you experience on the outside or even inside your mind is just you. You can only recognize these things because they are inside of you, your mind, and they actually are you and have become you. You cannot recognize anything when it is not already within you. All are reflections. So why are you running away, blame, complain, and procrastinate?" I don't know. And I don't understand what you're saying, that all what I see and experience is a reflection from within myself. Everything you experience on the outside is like looking into a mirror of all that is within you. You, however, are not accepting what you see and experience. You don't want to deal with the situations, places, and endless characters that are within you reflecting themselves on the outside. You are on a battleship, fighting a battle with and within yourself. You are putting me in a jail with all of this and showing me and telling me. And talking about a battle? Yes, I'm in a fight with most of it, and now it's with you on top of it. Why did you trap me? You are closing off every street, and I feel even more in a jail. Okay, Markobo. When you feel this way, just stand up and leave. I will take my mirrored walls away. I just responded to your thoughts that you were facing a wall. Here, these were some of your thoughts questioning yourself. I don't know why, but it was as if a wall constantly was standing before me, holding me back from evolving and progressing in my life. And then the next one, just recently, I felt trapped, like having walls all around me and not knowing what to do. Are you not having the nickname being called the wall? You are creating these walls. You are creating this jail. And again, you are on a battleship fighting a battle with and within yourself. Can I go now? For sure, Makobo. Feel free. And until you call me again. Upset, confused, and much more, Markobu stood up, the mirrored wall disappeared, and he went back to his apartment, where the owner was waiting for him, wanting to be paid for the rent. He was told to leave and stroll through the city, trying to find a solution and hoping that a miracle would show up. For some time he slept on the streets, had no luck finding a job, for business people possibly sensed that he was a lazy individual. Living on the streets finally started to wake him up a little bit, for he was learning to observe the people and the life in the city of dreams. At one moment, having closed his eyes, the mirrored wall appeared inside his mind and was able to see and realize the fragile existence of individuals and the entire economy. He saw the gamblers happy gambling, but unfortunately one really happy in the end, the winner, and most of the other ones returning home and having difficulties paying the bills and taking care of their family. People abusing alcohol, tobacco, food and drugs he saw ending up sick and in hospitals. He observed the rich people being afraid of losing their money and doing all kinds of questionable things to make more money and to have more power. He observed individuals being happy with the newborns and then struggling with their children when they were growing up. He saw people getting older and suffering, and he saw pollution everywhere. Only one little thing needed to occur in regards to their health, and upside down was life, or life would be over. After some time he became desperate, but still refusing to go back to the ship and Janus, and said out loud to himself, "Why all these walls?" He realized how much easier life on the ship had been, but didn't want to admit that he felt defeated. Some hours later, walking through the maze of the streets, the mirrored wall was standing before him. Still being stubborn and rebellious, he tried some more streets to escape from the wall, but as if the mirrored wall knew, and by the last one, a chair was standing again facing the wall. Markobo sat down, and the voice of the mirror spoke, saying, "You called me again, by having said out loud to yourself, 'Why all these walls?' Here I am, and let's talk some more about these walls." This time Markobo was a little bit more relaxed and probably a little bit more open to listen with an open mind. In addition, that everybody is a reflection from within yourself, know that those residing and working on Yanu ships are members of your family. And you forget that you have to deal with endless other family members, to your liking or not. You have put up so many walls inside and around you that you live in a small jail created by yourself and being all by yourself. You don't let anybody visit you. You don't accept the jail. You complain. You don't accept anybody outside the jail. You don't even clean or take care of your own jail. You don't like to participate in anything and with nobody. You were completely on your own, homeless, lost, alone, and lonely before Captain Janus took you under his wing. You probably say that you are thankful and that you love him, but let's see what you are doing back in return to him, the ship, which is your home, and to your other family members residing on the ship. However, let's first show you more about all your family members and about your relationship with all of them. At that moment, on all the mirrors or monitors of the entire mirrored wall, Markobo looked at different kind of family members of which he had never thought about in that way. On one he looked at nature, where every plant and creature had become a character. Another was about food items that hadn't gotten bodies and faces. There was a human body with endless cells and systems and organs that all had become little elves, all helping each other to keep everything functioning properly. On other monitors he saw the family members on the ship, then bacteria and viruses that had become alive characters, the team members when they played games, and then endless scenes from movies with characters he liked or disliked, loved and was afraid of, and much more. In an instant, the content of all the mirrors switched over to endless situations that happened in his life, and then all went blank. The voice spoke saying, Markobo, be aware that when you have problems accepting any of these characters and life situations, that you become a victim, that you are on a battlefield and at war with your own family members. You will feel alone like you felt before. Markobo answering saying, this is all too much for me, and the only thing I feel that I want to run away. To run away to what? Don't you realize that you are paying a big price for all this questionable entertainment? Do you want to stay in the city, having to make money and then to fulfill your dreams, wants and desires? Do you want to get sicker? No, that is all too painful, difficult and complicated. But please, help me out here, he spoke to the mirrored wall. Okay, let's play a little game, Markobo. I show you a face that will appear on my liquid mirrored wall, and you have to come up with the first thought and then a feeling that you connect to that face. Janus, spoke the mirror, and a picture of him appeared at the same time. My father, who takes care of me, answered Markobo instantly. And what feeling comes up by you? Asked the mirror. I love him, answered Markobo. That's all? Spoke the mirror, continue asking. And how do you prove your love? How do you make it practical and real? This time Markobo didn't answer instantly, but had to think. Then he answered. I tell him often that I love him. The mirror repeated the question. How do you prove your love? How do you make it practical and real? It took some time and then he answered. I help him sometimes with... He stopped his answer and looked at the mirror, seeing the thoughts coming up. He was thinking. I could help more. I could make things easier. I could resist less and give him less trouble. And I could be easier with the others on the ship, and especially the crew members. I could take care of things myself. I could be more thankful for everything. So Markobo, do you know why you didn't come up with the answer right away? No, simply because you have not trained love in action. Janus, the ship, your family, and all the other kind of family members you just have seen are a part of your relationship. They all give you something, or serving you, so to speak. But how are you serving them back? I don't feel connected to anything or anybody. Then give something back to Janus. Could that be a start? Markobo started to huff and puff, and then tears came from his eyes. The mirror spoke. Would you like to show your love to Janus? Of course. Could it start with you going back to the ship and apologizing? I think so. Could you maybe ask him how you could show your love for him? I'm open to that and I will ask him. Do you think that it would make him happier when you would start helping others who he considers being members of his family? Yes, I can do that. Do you think it would please him that you would participate in taking care of the ship and participating in the daily chores? I will start to do so. Do you think it will make him happy to see your walls going down? Yes, that would really make him happy. At the same time, he could see himself in the endless mirrors doing the things they were talking about. More tears started to roll, and then slowly the voice of the mirror changed into the voice of Janus, who as well appeared in a radiant form. Is that you, Janus? Yes, my son. But what is this radiant form? That is for you to figure out, but for now, go back to the ship. The mirrored wall disappeared, and Markobo made his way back to the ship, where Janus and many others were waiting, all with a smile on their face. After sharing with Janus what all happened and shedding some more tears, he spoke, saying, "That was all you're doing, Janus, isn't it so? And what was that beautiful radiant image of you? Why do you think that I am the captain? Because you are the owner of the ship. I am not the owner, Markobo, for Kandu, the life creator and life sustainer is, but he taught me how to navigate the ship, and I know now every road and destination, and you could look at me as a guide of the oceans of life and life beyond." That makes sense to me, but what did you mean with life beyond? I come to that in a minute. Everybody except you accept me as their guide, and they have complete trust in me, and they follow my guidance and instructions implicitly. You may have looked at all of us as observers, and actually are called the observers. Markobo jumped in, saying, "No, I get it. And that's the reason why nobody ever leaves the ship, as it is too dangerous. You could get trapped and lost, like I did." Correct. And you must also understand that everybody on this ship is here to go with me to a destination beyond the realms we are exploring right now. You are saying that there is more? Yes, there is much more, but on that voyage you cannot see with your physical eyes, and you cannot hear with your physical ears. One needs to have a guide, because there are realms and worlds far beyond the beauty of this realm, and one can easily get distracted and lost there as well. That guide and captain is my radiant form. Without you knowing this, all the adults are always in preparation for this special voyage. In the early morning hours they practice the method I had given them, to hear without their physical ears and to see without their physical eyes. And why do I don't know about this? Markobo, you have never asked or looked properly, and actually you have not even arrived on the ship. Except for some love for me, you have not accepted who you are and where you are, and not accepted everybody around you, nor have you partaken in anything other than when you were forced. So, when you insisted to go ashore, I knew that this would be a chance to possibly open your eyes and mind. Again tears came into his eyes, and realized how he could have gotten really trapped in the city of dreams. Thank you, Janus, for without your help I don't know what would have happened to me. It was only at that moment that he understood why everybody was so happy and content on the ship, why they were called the observers, and why everybody was able to serve Janus, the ship, and everything as well. Markobo started a life of service and caring, and after many years, after all his walls were gone, Janus gave him the method of learning to listen without ears and seeing without eyes. The more he practiced, the clearer the radiant form of Janus became. Slowly but surely, Markobu left at regular times with guide and Captain Janus on the inner voyage to one day dock forever at the harbor of Kandu, the life-creating and life-sustaining force. What the story could bring us. Most of us have problems to accept all that is happening in our life and the world globally. This movie could be looked at being written by ourselves or God or any other name given to that which is beyond form and name. At the moment we do not accept something, we become victims in our own movie. It is first about accepting, and instead of trying to run away, pointing, blaming and complaining, we could use the power of adapting. This then becomes us being an active and positive way in our own movie and adventure. When we have expectations, unfortunately, while and with the adapting, we trap ourselves again and find ourselves standing constantly in front of a wall, and we have created endless walls, not just in front of us, but all around us, and are living life in a jail and forgetting that we made ourselves into prisoners. Special guides come to make us aware of these facts and things and assist us to free ourselves from this bondage, to show us what and who we really are, and to go the voyage back to our original abode.